Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be ranking the Kinks albums, and to help me out, I'll be to help me out with this thing. I'm going to be doing a tier list to kind of like doing a ranking and tier list at the same time. First time I'm ever going to be doing this, but yeah, uh, I'm going to have my phone on the chat so I could see if there's any people on chat. But okay, let's get this started. Uh, Coming in at by the way, I'm gonna be ranking all 24 albums by them. Uh, I will be doing an update video sometime in the future because I'm not familiar with all these albums. I'm only familiar with like a lot of them, but like not all of them. But coming in at 24, we're picking Phobia, and I'm gonna put it at an F tier. And yeah, uh, nothing really interesting on this album. Nothing really creative. It's just kind of a disappointing way to end off a career, if I do say so myself. Uh, I really enjoy the Kinks. They're like one of my favorite bands, but yeah, this album just doesn't do anything for me. It's just them going through the motions, and you could definitely tell that they were kind of running out of ideas at this point. Uh, but I would say there's notable songs on here, but there really isn't any. A lot of them go on for long. Uh, this was like the beginning of when CD started to really take off, so that became a thing, and bands around that time felt like the need that they needed to really run out the CD time. So uh, yeah, Scattered is if I had to pick the best out of the worst, I'd say Scattered is the best. But Wall of Fire is not that really good. Phobia, the title track, is alright at best. Just this whole album in general is just a big bore fest in my opinion, and maybe my opinion might change on it in the future, but I'm just not. I don't really get anything out of this album. Coming in at number 23, UK Jive. This is also going to be on an F tier. Yeah, uh, slightly better than Phobia. Uh, I will give it. Doesn't run on forever. It's like not an hour of just this album of an album, but it definitely does run on me. Aggravation is really awful to listen to. How do I get close is pretty bad. I I just this whole album is just uninspiring. Uh, this is the last album of the '80s, and unlike their early '80s, uh, where pardon me, where you could kind of sense that they're doing the '80s, but like they're doing it in their own way. The Kinks in this album, it's just kind of them going like kind of like what I said about the other album. It's just kind of them going through the motions. Like nothing really added to this. It's just it's just UK Drive, and it's not even on any of their stream. It's not even on Apple Music, and I can see why it's not that good. Uh, Coming in at number 22, coming in on F tier again, is gonna be Think Visual. Uh, to me, this was kind of like the start of the downward fall. It's not nowhere near as bad as UK Jive, or nowhere near as really bad as Phobia, but there's still nothing really going on in this album. How Are You is a decent track. Side one's like not that good, but side two gets a little better towards the end. But rather than that, there's nothing really unique about Think Visual, unlike what was going on, the albums before it. But yeah, that is my number 22 spot. My number 21 spot is going to go at a D tier. That's going to be the Kinks debut album, aptly titled Kinks. And I mean it's a good debut album. I will admit it is different from the time. It's not unique from what what would from what would become of what they would become, if that makes any sense. Like they're making great music, but like they like oh, I want to say it's great. Oh, they were making good music on this album, but I will this D tier though, even though it's a D tier, I will say there are a few great tracks on this. Beautiful Delilah's great. So Mystifying's really good. Took My Baby Home was really good. You Really Got Me, of course. Uh, Bald Headed Woman. Uh, and I've been driving on Bald Mountain's really good, and Stop Your Sobbing. Uh, Rather than that, a lot of covers. A lot of the covers are like some of the covers are like really uninspiring. Like I'm a lover, not a. I'm not sure if that's a cover or not. Yes, that's a cover. I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's not that good. Uh, Cadillac is all right. Uh, Too much monkey business. I much prefer the Hollies version over it. That's just my opinion, though. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about their debut album. Coming in at number 20, coming in on D tier as well, is kind of Kinks. And yeah, I will admit this album isn't like an album that I really like look forward to, but it's a lot better than their debut album, of course. Not a lot better, but it is a lot better. For one, there's 10 out of the 12 tracks on the album is written by Ray Davies. But out of the 10 tracks, there are not many songs that were really well written by him. Look for Me Baby isn't that good. Got My Feet on the Ground is really bad. Uh, really mixed awfully. Uh, Come On Now, half of me likes it a lot, half of me doesn't really like it. So Long's pretty forgettable. We Shouldn't Be Sad's really good. Something Better Begin and Tired of Waiting for You are the best tracks on the album. No, nothing in this world can stop me worrying about my bait about the girl. I forgot the name of the song. It's really long, but never been a big fan of that song. Very unmemorable, but it is a good it's a good album. F when I put my F tier uh tier is like bad albums. D tier is like good but forgettable, and yeah, kind of Kinks is in that category. Number 19, Preservation Act 2. Uh, some people might think I'm crazy for putting it. Well, I wouldn't consider it high, but putting it over the first two albums, some people might find it crazy because of how much people don't like the theatrical section of their albums. But there are some really good songs on here. Introduction to Solution's really good. Uh, Scum of the Earth I like. He's Evil's good. Mirror of Love is good. Flash Flash's Confession's really good. Flash's Dream is good. Scrap Heap City's really good. I really don't really care for the announcements though. Like the announcements I could take or leave. Like they serve nothing to the plot of the album other to just fill album time, not gonna lie. Uh yeah. Uh yeah. Like compared to the first preservation, this one's kind of a disappointment. The album goes on for a little too long. Feel like a lot of people say, and I'm gonna agree with everyone that they Ray Davis focuses too much on the plot of the album to like make it really enjoyable. I forgot who said it, but I agree with them. But this is basically Pete Townsend. This is basically Ray Davies trying to be Pete Townsend but worse with the concept albums. Coming in at number 18 with another D tier is actually I actually put it at a C tier actually. But probably yeah. I put it at a weak C tier. And that'll be Percy. And yeah. Uh Percy just it isn't the best. Let's just say that. Like has a lot of great songs on here. Got God's Children, I think is the name of the first track. Yep. God's Children is amazing. One of my favorite openers. The Way Love Used to Be is really good. Completely is really good. All of like the vocal songs that aren't like instrumental are really good. Uh the Lola instrumental, I could take or leave. I'm not a fan of that. Feel like that's a little bit of a filler track. Uh I mean, it's just a soundtrack. Like it's like the Kinks Yellow Submarine, if that makes any sense, but like a lot better, of course. Like the instrumentals are a lot more there's a lot more interesting things going on with the instrumentals in the Percy than there is Yellow Submarine. Uh yeah, that's the best way of putting it. Number 17, I'm gonna be putting it at C tier. Everybody's in the showbiz. This is a fan favorite for some reason. I don't get why it's a fan favorite. It's really weak compared to what they were doing before this album, especially the album that came before it. But I mean, side two is really good. Sitting in My Hotel is really well. That's side one's ending. Motorway is really good. You Don't Know My Name's really good. Supersonic Rocket Ship's really good. Look a Little on the Sunny Side's really good. And Celluloid Heroes is an amazing track. Uh, Side one is good. Here Comes Yet Another Day is all right. Maximum Consumption's like boring. Uh, Unreal Realities meh. Hot Potatoes is meh, and it does close really well on Staying in a Hotel. I will admit that. But rather than that, on the studio aspect, because it was a double album with the studio and then live, it kind of reminds me of Gumma, but like I don't know, except reverse, of course. Side two, well, disc two, I mean, opens up with the live section of the album with the Top of the Pops, which is good. Brainwash is good. Like all the live tracks is just it's either good or all right. like like I would not unless you're going through their discography like I am. I would never recommend listening to the live section of this album. Like that's just me though. So that is my number 17 choice. Number 16 is coming at a C tier. Preservation, Act 1. Uh, I wouldn't say it's way better, but it is better than Preservation Act 2 because it goes for more of like the songs aspect. Like it doesn't try to tell a story. It is kind of it's supposed to be like the introduction of all the characters that would lead into Act 2, but this is just better. Side one starts off amazingly with the morning song with nice little humming, which goes into Daylight, which is amazing. Really underrated track, if I do say so myself. Uh, Sweet Lady Genevieve is really good. Uh, it's just a really good song. Uh, there's a change in the world in the weather. The I was just assuming it would say world. There's a change in the weather is all right. Where Are They Now is really good. One of the survivors brings up Johnny Thunder, which is in the Village Green Preservation Society album, which is the song name. And yeah, it's really good. Side two isn't as good as side one, but man, I will admit, side one is really good. Very, as one person from Taste Like Music says, it is stacked. I'll be right back. I just gotta blow my nose. Okay, I'm back. Um, yeah, uh, yeah, it's just a good album, but overall, it's just all right. That's basically what sums up Seats here. Okay, coming in at number 15 might come as a shock to a lot of people. A lot of people might consider it to be their worst album, but I consider it to be not that bad. Soap opera, or the Kinks present a soap opera. I wasn't really paying attention too much of the story. I was just more attached to the music, and the story seemed like a good plot, but you know, you know, Ray Davies. The thing about him is he doesn't. He has like the good ideas for a concept album, but just the way he lays it out just isn't that spectacular. But yeah, it's just there are really good songs on here, which a lot of people will disagree with me. Everybody's a Star. I love that song. Facing the Crowd's really good. I love that song. Holiday Romance is really good. Having Another Drink is good. When Work is Over, I like. This is just a solid album. Not a solid album, but like it's just an album that I'm like, you know what? I don't get the hate for it towards it. It's actually pretty good. Just not up to par with the other ones. Coming in at number 14 is Schoolboys in Distress. If I'm going by album covers, this would be right down here in the F tier, but we don't judge by album covers. I will go by album covers when I do like my rankings of the album covers and the tier list, but as of right now, I'd say the album itself is a C tier. Definitely, like I said, it's definitely an album you gotta give a chance. Like I was definitely caught off guard from the album cover. Let's just say that. But yeah. School Days I like a lot. Jack the Idiot Dunce is interesting to say the least. Education I like a lot. The First Time We Fall in Love is great. This whole album is just it's not like they're them firing at all four cylinders per se, but it's definitely them doing the best out of what they were trying to do in their the- theatrical era. But yeah, that's a good way to put it. Number 13, give the people what they want. Um, we're now moving up to B tier territory, which congratulations. But yeah, definitely some more memorable tracks than the ones before it. The title track is flipping amazing. I love that track. They definitely same with Around the Dial. They definitely opened out the 80s pretty darn well. Killer's Eyes is really good. Destroyer is really good. Uh, Yo Yo's good. Back to Front's good. Art Lover's good. It just there are a few songs like that I'm not really crazy about. Like Better Things I'm not crazy about. A little bit of Use isn't that good. But the good songs to bad songs ratio it definitely it definitely favors towards the good songs. So yeah, number 12, Word of Mouth. Um, this song opens up on a really strong note. Do It Again, which third time I've seen a popular band use the title "Do It Again," which really unusual that I've seen three popular bands use it. My 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 definitely my third favorite. Much prefer the Beach Boys and the Steely Dan one, but yeah. But Do It Again, like I said, it's really good. Word of Mouth that I like a lot. Good Days is really good. Living on Thin Line is good. Just side one is just really good. Side two is good too, but my problem with this album is just this album start it's like the start of the decline. Not like bad like UK like Think Visual was, but like you could definitely see them like not becoming as unique. Like they're not as unique and as original as they were before. Like they had a they had their first line of five albums from 66 to 71, well to 66 to 70. Then they had a run of our albums that I'd say like five albums from 1979, well 78 to 83 that was really good too. But yeah, just their creativity just is starting to go down. And that's to be expected from a band that's been around for a long time. A band that started from 1963. So I gotta give them a little bit of a little bit of a break. Coming in at number 11 in my B tier, and probably the last one that's gonna be on B tier is the King Controversy. Yes. Oof. I will say this is a high B tier though. Uh, but yeah. Um, overall, this is a really good album. Much better than their second album, as you could tell. Almost reached almost reached into my top 10. So obviously, it's doing something. Uh, I do agree that Milk Cow Blues is a not well with the Taste Like Music. If you should check out their ranking video. Uh, really good ranking video. But um, Milk Cow Blues is not the best way to open up the album. Um, I will say if I was a person who was making the album for them, I don't know if they were still working with Shel Talmy at that point, but I definitely would have made it so that dedicated that dedicated follower fashion would be the opening track and just get rid of Milk Cow Blues. You know, make it an album full of originals. That's the only cover on the album, which sucks because the next 11 tracks are really good. Uh, Ring the Bells is really good. I Am Free, I love a lot. It's Too Late. What's in Store for Me? You Can't Win. I'm on an Island. The World Keeps Going Round. And of course, the big hit single off the album, the Till the End of the Day. But yeah, uh, just that one singular track is just keeping it from going to an A tier album. Coming in on number 10 with the A tier will be Sleepwalker. Yeah, this album is coming in like from my top 10 onward. There really isn't no bad songs on any of these albums. Like You could pick any track from any of these 10 albums, and I would like enjoy it quite a bit. But anyways, Sleepwalker is just it was the first album that was trying to get away from the whole theatrical album thing, and to me this was like the first album of five really good albums, and I like to call it because there was a list of five albums from like 1966 to 1970. I like to call that their big five. This is like their big five part two, where it's like they released another section of great five albums, and this was one of them. And you know, Life on the Road, I love Mr. Big Man, Sleepwalker, Brother, Jukebox Music, Sleepless Night, Stormy Sky, Full Moon, Life Goes On. Like, I think my only gripe is that there's not enough songs on here. I don't think 9 songs is enough. Uh, yeah, it's just a really good album. But yeah, I can't really add anything to it. That's how good it is. Uh, yeah, but yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Coming in at number nine. Uh, State of Confusion. Um, I really love this album. Coming in when I was listening to their '80s albums, because I did a deep thick discog dive, and I will admit, after I listened to Musical Hillbillies, I had very low expectations going into their later '70s to early '80s music, but I was wrong. They they did amazing on this album. Right away, starting off with a bang with "State of Confusion." I love that song. Definitely a top 50 at least. Definitely punk. Definitely rough and gruff. Just amazing. Definite maybe a love. Labor of Love is amazing. Come Dancing, I love the big hit on the album. Definitely a great revival song. Property is really good. Flip over to side two, you get Don't Forget to Dance. Young Conver- Young Conservatives is really good. Heart of Gold, Cliches of the World, and Burdette. I think that's how you say it, with the amazing Dave Davies on lead vocals. Yeah, just a really good album. If you're a King fan and you only got up to like Lola in terms of their albums, definitely check out this album. And of course, the rest of my top 10, because there is some more '70s and '80s stuff. Number 8, um, the first album of what I would call their big five, Face to Face, and yeah, uh, what's it's hard to describe. Uh, Pardon me, but this album's just brilliant. Uh, you have the great Nicky Hopkins on harpsichord on "Too Much in My Mind," Session Man, Rosa, Won't You Please Let Me Go Home, Party Line's an amazing track, Dandy I love, House in the Country I love, very very rock and roll. House in the Country, Big Sports Car, and Rainy Day in June. Those 7 tracks are amazing, and how can you follow up to 7 amazing tracks, and then you flip over to side two, and then you get a House in Waikiki. It's hard to describe. It's hard to say it. And then most exclusive residence for sale. I love Fancy. I love Little Miss Queen of Darkness. You're looking fine. Sunny Afternoon. I'll remember. Like those 7 tracks are also amazing, and especially Fancy. Like that track. Definitely very Indian like, has the Eastern the Indian influence on it. You know, they were doing it before they even, before it became popular, with the Beatles. They even had a single track called "See My Friends," which predated Norwegian Wood. So I gotta give them credit for bringing that out in them. But yeah, um, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Definitely deserves a spot at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Misfits. And, this album surprised me. Again, another example of never judge an album by its album cover, because I was expecting for a dreadful listen. I wasn't expecting anything good. I wasn't expecting anything amazing. I was probably expecting like a bad album, but you know, I changed my mind. I really like it. Misfits, I really like. Hay Fever, really like. Black. Uh, I don't know how to say that. Black Messia. I don't know. A rock and roll fantasy I like. In a foreign land. Permanent waves. Live long life. Out of the wardrobe, which you could kind of consider like a updated version of Lola. You could say. Trust your heart and get up. Like, geez, like couldn't ask for a better track list if I do say so for myself. Like, man, they really did good on this album. Yes, I do agree that the writing on some of these songs is a little questionable, but you know, it's kind of cool to like look back at these songs and be like, wow, this song does not age well. But yeah. Anyways, just barely missing my top 5, and I really wanted this to be my top 5, but I feel like the one that nearly edged it out, just barely edged it out, and that would be Muswell Hillbillies. Uh, you know, it may not be their most popular album, but I love it. It's really it's just a solid album. It's definitely their last like really good album, like their best like amazing album for a while until you get to like Misfits, and yeah. Uh 20th Century Man is really good. Holiday I love. Skin and Bone, Alcohol, Have a Cup of Tea, uh, and the title track. Like those are like, even though the rest of the album isn't as good as those tracks, but the rest of the tracks that I didn't mention are really good too. Even though they're not as strong as those tracks, I still love this album a lot. Uh, Definitely different. They're going for like a different approach when they made this album, and I dig that. Uh, Coming at number 5, coming in on that we're coming in on an S tier, is Low Budget. Yeah, I know, crazy low budget. Who would expect me, fan of the '60s British Invasion, to be putting Low Budget this high? Well, if you may ask, his album's amazing. Attitude is amazing. Catch Me Now I'm Falling, I love. Pressure, which to me is the best song on the album. National Help, I love. Wish I Could Fly, like Superman. Low Budget, the title track. A little bit of Emotion, Misery, and last track, Moving Pictures, is really good. But yeah, really good stuff. Um, yeah, it's just a really good album. You know, just couldn't they just they just couldn't go wrong if you got to ask me. It's just really good music they're making. They were just this is one of like the third, I believe, out of the 5 I'd say would be part of their big 5. But coming in at number 4 on an S here would be Lola versus Power Man, part Power Man and the Money Go Round, which this album is amazing. Starting off with like Attenders, I love. Uh, what's I'm not too familiar with the track listing yet, even though it's my fourth favorite album by them. Strangers, I love. Denmark Street, I love. Lola, the title track is awesome. Top of the Pops, The Money Go Round, A Long Way from Home, Ape Man, Power Man. This is like the only album I ever seen that has more than one title track. If that makes any sense. Like this has Power Man, this has The Money Go Round, and it also has Lola, which to me is like unique for the time. Like I don't think I've ever seen an album that has three title tracks. But definitely much different from the album that preceded it, which I love that album so which was Arthur. But yeah, it's just an amazing album overall, but the other three are better. Coming in at number 3, Something Else. Uh oof. This album, man. I love this album. Uh, these next three are just, to me, is just cream of the crop Kinks. Uh, David Watts, Death of a Clown, written and sung by Dave Davies. Let Me Till the Sunshine, Funny Face, Lazy Sun, Lazy Sun, End of the Season, Waterloo Sunset, David Watts. I already said it, but David Watts, like, come on. But it's just a great album, and I my only gripe with it is Harry Harry I think it was like Harry the Rag or whatever. I'm gonna look it up. Harry Rag, but I'm not saying there's because every song on this album, like I said, you could pick any song from this album and I could really enjoy it. But yeah, overall, I just really like this album and definitely deserves the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, Arthur, or the Fall and Decline of the British Empire. When I first heard this album, I didn't have any high expectations going into it because I didn't have any low. I actually had high expectations because it was like part of the 5 album run that they had, and you know, Face to Face, Something Else, Village Green Preservation Society, and Lola. So I probably expected this to be really good. I listened to it. I didn't quite grasp how great it was because I will admit it's definitely different from the albums that came before and after it. And I really enjoy Victoria. I love that track. Amazing way to open up the album. Yes Sir, No Sir, Some Other Son, Driving, Brainwashed, and my absolute favorite track by them, Australia. Then you flip over to side 2 and you get Shangri-La. Weird name. Mr. Churchill Says, I love that track. She brought a hat like Princess Maria. I love that track. Young and Innocent Days is great. Nothing to Say, I love. And the final track, Author, like, dang. Like, talk about, like, just the perfect album from front to back. And, yeah. But if you want to really talk about the perfect album, I'm going to pick a different approach. And this album definitely deserves of its elite status. Chris Brown. And that will be the Village Green Preservation Society. Like, whoa. Like, dang. Like, talk about top shelf Kinks. Like, my only problem with this album is that it's too short. I know, kind of a weak thing to say as a weakness, but yeah, this album is just them firing at all four cylinders. Every song is memorable, and yeah, like the only thing that would have made this album better is uh if there was like as if every song was a little longer. That's my other problem is that each song is like its own mini masterpiece, and I feel like it goes on a little too short. Like it felt like the songs could have been a little longer than it could have been, but that's my only gripe. But yeah, definitely deserving of its SS tier. Definitely deserving to be the best album. It's in my top 10 albums of all time. So yeah, overall, I feel happy with my albums ranked. What do you guys think below? Did I rank them good? Do you think I put some higher than they should have been? Do you think I should have put them lower than they should have been? Just drop what you think in the comments, and uh, I'll go back to here, and yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. I did see that there were people watching, so that was good. But yeah, hope you guys have a good one, and I'll be it for today. Bye.